Radio Romania International. You are listening to our 1 hour broadcast in English for listeners in North America, the East Coast. We can also be heard on the internet in WMA, MP3, and AAC Plus formats at www.rri.ray Channel 1. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Flickr, and Pinterest. We wish you good reception conditions. Welcome to this broadcast on Radio Romania International. Radio Newsreel.
Hello, this is your host, Elena Inaki, welcoming you to a fresh program here on Radio Romania International. The Radio Newsreel today, after the news, we have a commentary on Romania's reactions to the situation in neighboring Ukraine. Now back to our program. Here is the news with Daniel Biltz.
The headlines. Romania wants that NATO's military resources not to be downsized on the eastern flank. The head of the Romanian diplomacy, Titus Kovlățan, attended proceedings of the Foreign Affairs Council in Brussels on Tuesday. And an IMF delegation is in Bucharest for talks on the first budget adjustment in 2014. Romania wants NATO not to diminish its military resources on the eastern flank of the North Atlantic Alliance. President Traian Băsescu said before his departure to Warsaw, whereas of today he's taking part in a summit of the heads of state from Central and Eastern Europe. High on the summit's agenda are the regional situation with emphasis on the crisis in Ukraine and preparations for the upcoming NATO summit in Britain in September. In Warsaw, the president of Poland, Bronisław Komorowski, pleaded for a strengthened collective NATO defense at the alliance's border in the context of the crisis in Russia and Ukraine. In Moscow on Tuesday, during the proceedings of the country's Security Council, President Putin said that Russia must complete boosting its defense capabilities timely and in full amid the increased NATO military presence near Russian borders. Also, on Tuesday, Parliament in Ukraine endorsed a presidential decree concerning a new partial mobilization of men under 50 to fight the armed pro-Russian rebels. The EU Council has not adopted fresh sanctions against Russia. The EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton has announced at the end of the Council summit on Tuesday. The head of the European diplomacy has also mentioned that the EU is ready to introduce a package of restrictive measures unless it sees an all-out and immediate cooperation. Referring to the situation in Ukraine and the recent plane crash, Ashton said that it is crucial that the separatist rebels in the area assure immediate access to the region so that the crash site be preserved for an independent and transparent international investigation. She also urged Moscow to put an end to the arms and equipment supply to the rebels. Concurrently with the Foreign Affairs Council proceedings, where Romania was represented by its Foreign Minister Titus Kovlățan, the ministerial meeting of the Eastern Partnership also took place a month after the historic moment of signing the Association and Comprehensive Free Trade Agreement with the Republic of Moldova, Ukraine, and Georgia. A delegation of the IMF is in Bucharest for talks about the first budget adjustment in 2014, announced by Prime Minister Victor Ponta last month. At the end of this week, the Finance Ministry has to make public the figures concerning budget implementation on the first semester of the year. According to the latest data released by the Finance Ministry, the consolidated budget deficit dropped to 0.24% of the GDP upon the first 5 months of the year. The Romanian authorities and the IMF have agreed over 2.2% of the GDP for this year. Romania ended last year with a general consolidated budget deficit of 2.5% of the GDP. The pro-Russia rebels handed over to a Malaysian investigation commission 2 black boxes of the plane that on Thursday crashed in eastern Ukraine. All 298 people on board the plane, including a Romanian, died in the disaster, which the US says should be blamed on the pro-Russia separatists. The UN Security Council has adopted a resolution under which it condemns the attack and calls on the separatists to allow free and safe access to the crashed site, to protect the integrity of the area and to stop fighting there. In Bucharest, President Traian Băsescu said that terrorists must be held responsible for the tragedy, but also Russia, which provided them with weapons. More on this after the news. U.S. State Secretary John Kerry on Tuesday said in Cairo that the only way that can stop violence in Gaza is the implementation of the Egyptian initiative. Last week, Egypt proposed a ceasefire already accepted by Israel but conditioned by the Hamas movement, which called for the release of prisoners and the cessation of the Israeli blockade over the Gaza Strip. Currently on a tour in the region, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has made an appeal to both Israelis and Palestinians to lay down weapons and start negotiations in order to put an end to the bloody conflict in the region. The pro-Western Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova, Yuri Elanca, has termed as inexplicable Russia's decision to ban the import of fresh and canned fruit from the Republic of Moldova, claiming they are infested. The Moldovan government, which gathered a special session to find solutions to Moscow's decision, is now considering introducing fruits in the daily meals of pupils and military. Anticipated by analysts, the embargo comes after the ratification last month of the association and free trade agreement with the EU. Romania's national water polo side has defeated Russia 11-8 in their last game in Group A of the European Championships in Budapest. They are now ranking 4th in the group. On Friday, in a game for a position in the 7-12 echelon, they will be playing against number 5 in the group, which will be either France or Germany. And that was the news.
Radio News will continue on Radio Romania International. Romania's President Traian Băsescu on Monday called on the EU to impose harsher sanctions on Russia. Find out the details from Eugen Asta in a report by Roxana Vasile.
A hybrid war. This is how President Traian Băsescu has described the conflict in eastern Ukraine, not far from the border with Romania. The Romanian head of state believes Russia is waging a proxy war using Chechen, Cossack and Transnistrian separatists deployed in the area to support the pro-Russian rebel militias. At the same time, it is also a form of guerrilla and information warfare, to which the pro-Russian separatists have just added acts of terrorism. Responsibility for the latest developments, the Romanian president argues, lies with the separatists, but also with Moscow, which has given them political support, military personnel and equipment, including heavy weaponry. The president's criticism comes as the international community is going to great lengths to shed light on the circumstances of last week's crash of a Malaysia Airlines passenger flight that killed all 229 people on board. Who is responsible for these attacks? Here is President Traian Băsescu. Based on an analysis and the intelligence we have at present, we believe the terrorist group in eastern Ukraine is directly responsible for shooting down the Malaysian Airlines plane. The Russian Federation has provided the rebels with specialists and equipment to carry out the strike, and therefore is equally responsible. I have heard President Putin's plea against politicizing the incident. No one is politicizing it, But President Putin cannot hide from this, shunning responsibility with lies and deferrals. Against this backdrop, can the European Union do more than it has already done? According to President Basescu, the answer is definitely yes.
Sancțiunile trebuiau introduse de multă vreme.
Sanctions should have been imposed a long time ago. There should have been harsher economic sanctions to dissuade the Russian Federation from fueling the conflict in eastern Ukraine. Of course, there have always been arguments against such measures. One country may have large investments there, another country may be supplying them with state-of-the-art equipment. Some may rely on Russian energy exports, while others simply try to be on good terms with both the European Union and the Russian Federation, and simply try to stay out of it. Of course, the economic aspects are extremely important, but the European Union is all about values, and our greatest value is the European citizen and his safety. The more the European Union delays imposing harsher sanctions on Russia, the higher the price Europe will pay for not putting an end to Vladimir Putin's ambitions to rebuild the former Soviet Union, President Basescu concluded.
And that was Radio Newsreel.
Next in our program, Short on Radio Romanian. Welcome, I'm Vlad Balco. 3 Romanian football teams are playing these days in the second leg of the preliminary second round of the European football competitions. The first Romanian team to fight for a place in the Champions League's third preliminary round is Steaua Bucharest. In a game venued by the National Arena Stadium in Bucharest, Constantin Gălca's trainees will be taking on Norway's champions Strømsgodset. In the last week's away match in Drammen, Steaua snatched a 1-0 win, with Gabriel Iancu scoring in the first minutes of the second half. Steaua turned out to be the better team on the pitch, yet they failed to live up to the excellent run they had last season, which means manager Gălca has a lot more work to do with his trainees. On the other hand, Steaua lacked some of its key footballers, who moved to other clubs, as the transfer season is in full swing. Among them are former captain Mihai Pintilii, goalkeeper Ciprian Tătărușanu, Macedonian defender Daniel Georgievski, and Italian striker Federico Piovacari. Furthermore, Steaua has not yet made any notable transfers to the team. If they beat Strømsgodset, Steaua will be taking on the winner of the game between Georgia's Dinamo Tbilisi and Aktobi from Kazakhstan. On Thursday night, 2 Romanian teams will be playing in Europa League's second leg, counting towards the competition's second preliminary round. Petrolul from Ploiești has sound chances to make headway into the competition. After last week, they succeeded a 2-0 home win against Albanian squad Flamutari Vlora. Scoring for Petrolul were the Dutch Javaro Napomuceno on 77 minutes and the Nigerian-born Israeli footballer Toto Tamuz on 84 minutes. Petrolul should have no problem in Albania, since they have a strong lineup, including one of Romania's best volleyballers at the moment, Adrian Mutu. If they qualify, Petrolul will be facing Czech-side Victoria Plzeň in the third preliminary round. The other Romanian team, CFR from Cluj, got job. On Thursday, CFR will be taking on Serbian side Jagodina, and the Romanians only managed a blank draw in last week's home match. However, in the past, Cluj proved they could brace up for the crucial games, so the Romanians do stand real chances to make headway into the competition. If they win, CFR will be taking on the winner of the game between Dinamo Minsk of Belarus against Emilikosken Palo of Finland. You have been listening to a preview of the Romanian participation in European football cups. You can also follow our sports news online at ri.ro and on Facebook. You are listening to Radio Romania International. Next on Radio Romania International.
Welcome to Business Club with me, Cristina Madescu, and On January the 1st, 2014, Romania officially granted foreign citizens the right to directly purchase farmland. Prior to this date, foreign citizens were allowed to buy farmland in Romania only after setting up a Romanian firm. Experts have warned that the purchase of farmland by foreign citizens will increase significantly and that the state should thoroughly control this type of transactions. In 14 years alone, 3 million hectares of farmland have been purchased in Romania, which means that a third of Romania's fertile land is now owned by Italian, German, Danish, Norwegian, Dutch, Hungarian, and Lebanese citizens. Officially, companies running on foreign capital have already bought 1 million hectares of farmland and have signed lease contracts for another 2 million hectares. According to Laurențiu Baciu, the head of the League of Romanian Farmers Associations, foreigners cultivate land in Romania, taking advantage of the fertile land, the small price per hectare, and the cheap labor force, but sell the crops in the countries they come from. These crops are then exported to Romania and sold to Romanian consumers for prices bigger than the domestic ones.
We must face the truth. Romania has had private agriculture for only 20 years now. Foreigners, on the other hand, have a well-established tradition when it comes to private agriculture. We've only made small steps in setting up farming units, modernizing them, and making profit. Financial resources are scarce. Abroad, banks offer preferential interest rates of 1 to 2% to buyers of farmland in Eastern Europe, while governments also support these initiatives. We get nothing of that. There are also large areas of uncultivated farmland in Romania. Following the reform of 1991, people were given back land without being asked whether they needed it or if they can cultivate it. And now they find themselves in the situation of having to sell it to the first comer. In other countries, the price of farmland is 4 or 5 times bigger than that of Romania. If the average price per hectare stands at 2,500 euros in Romania, in Belgium, a hectare of farmland sells for 28,000 to 30,000 euros, while in France it sells for 20,000 to 25,000 euros. That is why they rush to buy land in Romania.
Most foreign investors bought fertile farmland in the Călăraș, Ialomița, and Banat regions. Italian investors have particularly invested a lot, purchasing some 250,000 hectares of land, most of which in western Romania. High on demand are plots of land that are pulled together and highly productive. The hesitation of landowners and farmers in selling their small plots of land inherited from their parents makes farmland price report a constant upward trend. For example, in Întorsura village in Dolj County, prices for arable plots of land have increased from 600 euros some years back to 1,500 euros in poor regions, or 2,000 and even 3,000 euros for abandoned farmland. Local authorities urge the locals not to give up the farmland on which they make a living. Constantin Carmen is the mayor of Întorsura.
Many investors have expressed an interest in the region, but I have advised people against selling because later they might regret it. Farmland prices will go up. Unfortunately, people facing difficulties do sell.
Lipov Mayor Dumitru Dobrescu has also urged people not to sell.
There is an Italian man who bought 650 hectares of land in Lipovo. There are other associations, such as Cervina, currently leasing 246 hectares, and 3 more groups with approximately 100 hectares. Cervina upped its prices this year from 2,500 lei 2 years ago to 6,000 lei in order to be able to buy more land. Unfortunately, more people are selling their properties, which means this country will soon be left without any farmland of its own.
Farmland in Moldova and northern Transylvania is cheap, but too scattered. For this reason, there are few agricultural operations near Sălaj, while the biggest farmers there are foreign business people who bought large areas of land in the 1990s. Vasile Lazar is the mayor of Maieriște village.
There is a Romanian company with an Italian shareholder which bought a certain area of land over the course of several years. The company works the land itself, leasing part of it to locals. We're talking about some 500 hectares, of which 100 are bought. The current price may go up as high as 10,000 lei per hectare, some 2,500 euros.
Starting in April, the farmland is to be sold under new regulations. Romanians must observe a new set of procedures in order to be allowed to sell their land. First, they must notify the local town hall with respect to their intention to sell, while the sale cannot be completed any sooner than 30 days. The seller must specify a price, while the town hall will make the price public, informing co-owners, the family, landholders, neighbors, and the entire village. They have priority rights to buy the land. Romania has some 14 million hectares of farmland at present, of which 10 million hectares is in use. And that wraps up today's Business Club. Listen next to The Hit of the Day, a song for light from Stepan Project.
Lumina, lumina de cer, în toamnă târzie totuși, amară e coaja de ziua. Și floarea soarelui e, una-i cântuna ușoși, amară e coaja de lumina, lumina mă stai, la mine mă gata mai. Lumina mă stai, nu te
This is Bucharest Radio Romania International. Cultural event.
Welcome, I'm Cristina Matescu. The play Solidarity, directed by Janina Carbonariu, has been officially selected for the Theatre Festival in Avignon. The first performance was on July the 19th, and the play will be on until July the 27th. It brings us great joy to present a Romanian play to the audience here, after a break of 19 years, said Constantin Ceiac, the director of the Radu Stanca National Theatre in Sibiu and the co-producer of the play. Discrimination, loss of identity, and the division of society are some of the topics the young stage director has approached in the play, Janina Carbonariu. Bordul artistic al proiectului a decis artiștii care vor fi. The international team has chosen me to direct the play because my approach to theatre in general coincides with the idea behind this show, which is to approach contemporary topics through artistic means. The central theme of the project is living in large urban centers. I usually document my work, but this time the research was less sophisticated, because I already had a few ideas I wanted to use, things that are subject to public debate. However, I asked the actors to interview people, talk to them, and come up with ideas we might add to the show. The idea was to meet with people living in cities and tell stories from their point of view. Besides working with actors, I've also written the script for the show, Janina Carbonariu. Each of the 5 acts of the show is a fiction inspired from reality or a certain type of public discourse typical of contemporary Romanian society. From a wall built in Baia Mare to separate the Roma community from the city's main road, to the increasingly poignant gap between social categories, ethnic groups, and generations. On the opening night of the show on June the 14th, 2013, Janina Carbonariu said that social conventions designed to protect the citizen are in fact meant to broaden these gaps and play down anything that might actually bring people closer together. Janina Carbonariu. Totul e ficțiune, bineînțeles, pentru că e scris și e jucat. It is fiction, of course, but each scene is rooted in reality. Referring to the interviews taken by the actors, I was interested to see how people live in large cities, how the left-wing and the right-wing political discourses tend to blame the others, especially the less competitive categories. And I've seen this kind of attitude a lot over the last years. People who believe that those who don't work don't deserve anything. But what should we do about those who do work but earn nothing? I believe that this crisis makes it easier for people to find scapegoats, and even worse, to embrace this kind of discourse. It's a dangerous slippery slope, which I see as a risk to all living together in a city. Gianina Carbonariu. Throughout the theatre festival in Avignon, the show will be accompanied by a solo exhibition of Dan Perzhovsky, one of the most internationally acclaimed Romanian artists. The exhibition is designed as a roundup of modern society by site-specific interventions, music, graphic design, and social commentary.
This is Bucharest, Radio Romania International. Bruce.
Welcome to Roots. I'm Mihaela Ignatescu with Daniel Bilt. Objects have never been created with a purely artistic purpose, according to tradition. Their functionality was very specific, with the objects becoming beautiful items only after the peasant craftsman had mastered techniques and carved decorative patterns with a very profound symbolism. Wood carving is one of the oldest crafts of the people inhabiting today's territory of Romania. Nowadays, only those who are truly fascinated with the expressive dimension of wood keep tradition alive. One of those who are passionate about traditional wood carving is ethnologist and traditional craftsman Vasile Moldoveanu from Moren, Dâmbovița County, southern Romania.
Materia primă cu care lucrez este lemn.
The raw material I work with is wood. Wood is born from a seed. It grows, it develops and helps us. Since if it weren't for the wood we have, we would breathe a lot heavier, or we would simply choke off. I am happy I was born in the right place. Moren lies in a wonderful forest basin, steeped into hundreds of hectares of deciduous tree forests. I have all kinds of wood essence at my fingertips, such as linden, the poplar, or the alder tree. The willow is the wood essence blessed by the Holy Virgin Mary. It is the only wood essence I use when I make a hand cross or a hearth icon. Beech or oak tree wood is used in constructions, in traditional architecture, and for household items. From furniture to the wooden spoon, which is a must even for today's state-of-the-art kitchens.
Vasile Moldoveanu is attached to each object he creates with selflessness and respect for nature. Vasile Moldoveanu can carve any wooden item that is part of the traditional Romanian household, since he studied traditional culture in detail.
Eu fac absolut toate obiectele, de la lingură până la...
I make every object, from the wooden spoon to the queen of our traditional culture, the staff. The most cherished of them is the hearth icon, a Christian worship object, typically Romanian. In sunny Romania, I found the oldest models which were preserved in the Romanian Peasant Museum in Bucharest, but also in the Traditional Museum in Târgu Jiu. After being cut down, wood takes time to dry, so that it can be processed. From one commissioned work to another, I applied different notching and screwing techniques.
That was craftsman Vasile Moldoveanu ending today's Roots.
You are listening to Radio Romania International.
Next in this program is Living Romania. Welcome to a new encounter with Living Romania. I'm your host today, Lăcrămioara Simeon. Today we'll be talking about a special cultural and tourist event to take place between August 9th and 16th called the Music of Romania's Palaces. And later in the show we go to Sibiu in central Romania, where pianist, composer and jazz teacher Mircea Tiberian will mark 40 years of musical career as part of the Icon Arts Festival of Sibiu. Stay tuned. The Pro Valores Association and Radio Romania Culture invite you to discover the immense cultural and tourist potential of Romania as part of the third edition of the extraordinary music tour entitled The Music of Romania's Palaces, to be held between the 9th and 16th of August, which will take music lovers on a fantastic trip guided by duo guitarists. Best quality music by Mauro Giuliani, Manuel Faria, Dusan Bogdanovic, Jean-Philippe Rameau and Astor Piazzolla will be heard in various Romanian palaces, such as the Mogoșoara Palace, located 15 kilometers away from Bucharest, the Palace Castle in the Sinaia Mountain Resort in the center, and the Marincu Palace in Calafat, Dolj County in the south. Duo Guitarists is the winning band of the latest edition of the contest called The Way to Celebrity. It is made up of Alexandra Petrișor and Dragoș Horghidan, and it is a guitar duo who, after graduation from the National Music University in Bucharest, furthered their studies with an MA degree in guitar duo at the Music and Performing Arts University in Stuttgart. As of 2013, duo guitarists has been studying at the Conservatory in Strasbourg in a class of one of the most important duos of the world, Duo Malice. They are the winners of numerous prizes and have given concerts alongside many famous international artists as part of various guitar festivals in Romania, Germany, France, and Italy. Pianist, composer, and jazz teacher Mircea Tiberian is the cultural personality that will dominate the 12th edition of the Icon Arts Contemporary Festival to be held in Sibiu in central Romania and several other surrounding towns between July 24th and August 2nd. The Icon Arts Festival will launch this year a new section called Celebrate, which intends to promote a contemporary artistic personality who will gather many top international artists. And the first celebrated artist this year is the well-known pianist Mircea Tiberian, who was born and studied in Sibiu. He also made his debut in Sibiu at the International Jazz Festival in 1974. On August 1st, he will mark 40 years of musical career on the stage of the State Philharmonics of Sibiu. The artist will be accompanied by two longtime friends and collaborators, two great names of the American jazz, drummer John Batch and bass guitar player Chris Dahlgren. Also performing will be some of the most promising students of the jazz music teacher. The concert will be preceded by a press conference and the screening of a documentary entitled Mircea Tiberian 40. As a pianist and composer, Mircea Tiberian played in various jazz, improvisation, and new music setups. His work of the past 20 years is documented in 19 albums, among which Magic Bird, Never-Ending Story, Working Underground, Alone in Heaven, Hotel of Three Beginnings, Back to My Angel, 11, and so on. Mircea Tiberian teaches jazz music at the jazz department, which he set up at the National Music University in Bucharest in 1991. As of 2004, he has been a teacher at the Icon Arts Academy of Sibiu. In the end of Living Romania today, I invite you to listen to a small fragment from a piece by Mircea Tiberian called Blue Prelude from his latest album, Dinner for One. people and places. Hello and welcome to a fresh installment in our People and Places series. I'm your host, Elena Inake, and today I will tell you several things about the famous people, buildings, and plants featured on Romanian banknotes. Stay tuned. The one-low opus of the banknote features the portrait of Romanian historian Nicolae Iorga, who lived between 1871 and 1940. He was one of the most influential public figures in Romania in the early 20th century and was even a prime minister for a brief period between 1931 and 1932. He was also a historian, politician, literary critic, poet, and playwright. Nicolae Iorga was assassinated by the legionnaires. On the opposite side of the one-line banknote, there is also a junction flower. On the back, there is the Episcopal Cathedral of the Curtea de Argeș Monastery and the ancient Wallachian coat of arms featuring an eagle holding a cross in its beak. The 5-lei banknote features a portrait of Romanian violinist and composer George Enescu, 1881-1955. He was a Romanian composer, violinist, pianist, conductor, and teacher, regarded as one of the greatest composers of the 20th century and Romania's most important musician. On the obverse of the bill, there's also a carnation flower, a violin, and 2 musical notes. On the reverse, there's the Romanian Athenaeum, one of the symbol buildings of Bucharest, a piano, and the musical stave. The 3-lei banknote shows the portrait of painter Nicolae Grigorescu, 1838-1907, one of the founders of Romania's modern painting school. Some of his best-known paintings feature Romanian peasant women or oxen carts. A paintbrush and a palette are displayed near his portrait on this bill. The flower on the front is a hollyhock flower. On the reverse, there is a typical house from the Oltenia region and a fragment of Grigorescu's painting Rodica. Rodica is also the only woman depicted on Romania's banknotes. The 50-lei banknote features pioneer airplane builder Aulen Vlaicu, 1882-1913, one of Romania's most important inventors of all time. He is one of the pioneers who shaped the aeronautic history of Romania in the early 20th century. During his short career, Vlaicu designed and built 3 airplanes of his own design. He died while attempting to be the first man to fly across the Carpathian Mountains. Next to him is a stylized airplane propeller and an edelweiss flower. On the reverse, there is a mountain eagle head, a sketch of Vlaicu's second airplane, and a sketch of an airplane engine section. The 100-lei banknote features Romania's most famous playwright, Ion Luca Caragiale, 1852-1912. The characters he created in plays such as A Lost Letter have been a mirror of Romania's political class up until today. Also, on the obverse, there are 3 theater masks and a violet flower. On the back, there is an image of the old National Theatre of Bucharest, which doesn't exist anymore. A statue of Caragiale is also displayed on the back of the banknote. The 200-lei banknote features Romanian poet Lucian Blaga, 1895-1961. an open book with two of his poems and poppy flowers. Lucian Blaga distinguished himself as a talented poet, playwright, and philosopher. He made a breakthrough in universal thinking through his remarkably fine demonstrations, his deep insight, and intense expressivity. In the American edition of an Encyclopedia of Philosophy, he is characterized as the only Romanian philosopher to have achieved a very complex philosophical system that includes a vast set of metaphysical concepts, a new theory of knowledge, and a detailed morphology of culture. On the reverse of the 200 lei banknote, there's the Neolithic statue, the Thinker of Hamangia, one of the oldest artifacts found in Romania, and also a rainbow and an old watermill. Romania's national poet Mihai Eminescu, 1850-1889, is represented on the 500 lei banknote. He was a romantic poet, novelist, and journalist, also regarded as the most famous and influential Romanian poet. His best-known works are his poems, which speak of love, nature, and historical events. But Eminescu was also a journalist and a political editorialist with strong views. Next to him on the banknote, there is an inkpot and a quill and lime leaves and flowers. On the back, there is an image of the University Library in Iași and a page from Timpul newspaper, which Eminescu once ran. There are more than 820 million banknotes currently in circulation in Romania. Almost 250 million are one lei banknotes. The design of Romanian banknotes follows some common guidelines. The obverse shows a flower native to Romania and a portrait of a Romanian cultural personality. The reverse shows a building or a well-known monument. All banknotes are printed on plastic polymer, each in its own color theme. Light green for 1 lei, light purple for 5 lei, light pink and light orange for 10 lei, yellow for 50 lei, blue for 100 lei, dark orange for 200 lei, and light gray for 500 lei. On November 14, 2008, the National Bank of Romania announced the issue of a redesigned 10 lei banknote. Each banknote also features a small transparent window in the shape of a distinctive item characterizing the activity of the pictured personality. A heraldic symbol for Nicolae Iorga, a music key for George Enescu, painting implement for Nicolae Grigorescu, an eagle for flying pioneer Aurel Vlaicu, theater masks for Ion Luca Caragiale, a pen point for Lucian Blaga, and an hourglass symbolizing poetry and time for Mihai Eminescu. Each banknote has a different texture to be easily recognized in the pocket or by those with visual impairments. That's been all from today's People and Places. Until next time, goodbye.
Welcome everyone to a fresh edition in our DX Mailbag series. I'm Eugen Nasta. Once again, we go on a journey around the world, greeting listeners and fans, allowing you to compare how other listeners across the continent receive our programs. Today we begin with a rather unusual reception report sent in by Jalia Jayampati, who lives in Norfolk, Andhra. On July the 17th, our listener tuned into our programs while he was on a ship cruising all around the world. The equipment he uses is a JRC JSS 850 receiver with a JRC antenna. Jalia listened to her radio station from 11:25 to 11:55 hours UTC on 15400 kilohertz. His symbol rating for programs was 343. From West Bengal in India, we received a reception report sent in by our good old friend Ratan Kumar Paul, who tuned into our programs on July the 17th, 2014, on 15 to 20 kilohertz. Ratan uses a Grundig digital receiver, and his simple rating for programs was 4333. From our good old friend in Alberta, Canada, Richard Lemke, we received a reception report for the day of June the 29th, 2014. Richard tuned into our programs on 11955 kilohertz from 0000 hours to 055 hours UTC, and our listener uses a JRC NRD535 HF receiver with a random long wire antenna. Richard's simple rating for programs was 45443. We're now flying to Japan, sent from Yokohama Kanagawa. We received a reception report sent in by Mr. Shin Arai, who tuned into our programs on July the 17th, 2014 at 22:30 hours UTC on 9790 kilohertz. Shin's simple rating for programs was good to satisfactory. He uses a JRC NRD525 receiver with a Sony AN1 antenna. We stay in Japan, since we received a reception report from Satoshi Nishioto, who tuned into our programs on July the 8th, 2014 from 0530 to 0555 hours UTC on 21500 kilohertz. Satoshi uses a Sony ICF SW7600 receiver with a root antenna. His simple rating for programs was 35343. Also from Japan, we received a reception report for the day of June the 27th, 2014 from Toshiya Nishimura, who lives in Fukui-shi, Fukui-ken. Our listener tuned into our programs on 9790 kilohertz from 2150 to 2256 hours UTC. Toshiya uses a Texon PL660 receiver with a vertical antenna. His simple rating for programs was 34232. From Alex Torbeni, who lives in Bali, Indonesia, we received a reception report for the day of July the 6th, 2014. Alex tuned into our programs on 21500 kilohertz from 5:30 to 6 hours UTC. He uses a Tense SG789 receiver, and Alex's simple rating for programs was 35443. Our good old friend Hans Werner Lollicke, who lives in Hedehusene, Denmark, sent in a reception report for the day of July the 4th, 2014 on 21500 kilohertz from 5:30 to 0600 hours UTC. Hans uses a Sony ICF SW7600 GR receiver with a telescopic antenna. His simple rating for programs was 45433. We stay in Northern Europe, since for the day of July the 13th, 2014, we received a reception report sent in by Geir Larstad, who lives in Svelvik, Norway. Geir tuned into our programs from 2200 to 2300 hours UTC on 7439 kilohertz. His simple rating for programs was 5 all. Geir uses a Com Radio CR1A receiver with a 20-meter long wire antenna. Well, that has really brought our DX mailbag to an end today. Thank you all for the interest you take in Radio Romania International's programs. Everyone who sent us a reception report will receive a QSL card in the shortest time possible. Tune in again next time. Until then, from me, Eugen Nasta, it's goodbye and 73.
You are tuned to Bucharest, Radio Romania International.
The Cooking Show. Hello and welcome to our cooking show today about mititei. Mititei are to Romanians what burgers are to Americans. We are talking about skinless sausages grilled to a crisp on high heat, preferably charcoal. Most likely based on a Turkish recipe, but for kebab, it is now a Balkan staple, being eaten with delight in all countries in the area. However, the Balkan Christians have included pork in the original mutton-based mix. This is how we make them. Mix equal parts of minced beef, mutton, and pork. Season with black pepper, dried thyme, allspice, one whole head of garlic for each kilogram of meat, which we turn into a paste, and salt to taste. To make the mixture more tender, either add minced fat or a strong stock made from beef bones. Put in all finely ground spices and mix them well to an even consistency, and at the end add a mixture of baking soda and lemon juice, blending well. It is best left a few hours in the fridge for the flavors to blend. When you are ready to grill, take out the mixture and start taking out small handfuls of the mix, as much as you can hold with closed fingers, shaping them like tiny loaves of bread. Leave them a bit for the surface to dry, reducing the mess, since the mixture is quite sticky. It is helpful to rub a bit of cooking oil on your palms when handling them to avoid this problem. The Romanian traditional way of cooking them is on a grill close to a bed of searing hot charcoal, so that the surface is almost burned while the insides are still slightly pink. Grilling them to perfection is an art form, so keep practicing and definitely enjoy. You are tuned to Bucharest, Radio Romania International. Romanian without tears.
Welcome to a fresh installment in our Romanian Without Tears series. I'm Eugen Nasta. If you're in Romania and you've made friends already, chances are that you may be invited over to a restaurant. Romanians like to have a good time. Today you'll learn how to express your reactions if you happen to be in a restaurant. As usual, we begin with some useful words and phrases. Delicios, delicious. Suficient, enough. Plin, full. Poftă bună. Enjoy your meal. A găti, cook. A comanda, order. Now, let us use some of the words and phrases in meaningful conversational exchanges. A fost delicios. That was delicious. E delicios, dar sunt plin. It's delicious, but I'm full. E suficient. Mulțumesc. That's enough. Thank you. Poftă bună. Enjoy your meal. Asta nu este gătită cum trebuie. This isn't properly cooked. Nu am comandat asta. We didn't order this. Nu mănânc carne. I don't eat meat. Putem lua micul dejun? Can we have breakfast? Aveți mâncăruri vegetariene? Have you any vegetarian dishes? That's all we have time for in today's Romanian Without Tears. Thank you all for the interest you take in Romanian culture and for being so keen on learning Romanian with us. Goodbye. La revedere. And with that, our broadcast visit for listeners in North America, the East Coast, has come to an end. You can listen to our next program for North America, the East Coast, at 20:30 hours UTC on 15170 and 17510 kilohertz, as well as on the internet in WMA, MP3, and AAC Plus formats at www.rri.ro channel 1. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write an email at engl@rri.ro. Goodbye.